So, let's dive into drawing a waterfall together. I decided that it's easiest to start with the center. So, we first draw the horizontal line of the center, and then we will add everything around it. Next, we'll give this waterfall some light. Step down a bit and add vertical lines with a light feather-like touch. Vary these lines a little, and it makes the water look more natural and flowing. Notice this white stripe? That creates this highlight effect. And now let's do it again to create even more contrast. Next, let's tackle the upper part of the waterfall. You'll notice the upper line is shorter. Find the right angle and draw this shorter line. It's all about getting some depth to the waterfall. Mark the place. Moving on, we'll create the waterline by adding rocks on both sides. Now that we've got the rocks, let's draw the water with horizontal lines. Keep your hand steady, move your whole arm, and your lines will be nicely straight. Now let's add the bigger strokes in the foreground. And next we will add all these rocks, smaller rocks, in the foreground. Make sure that the shapes are a little bit of different sizes. I place them kind of randomly. Let's draw the plants on both sides. And I would like the plants to be really dark for contrast between the plants and the white rocks. That will make them pop. And you can use a scallop or a wavy line, or you can even experiment with different lines to create the leaves of these water plants. The plants also give us a little bit of a scale, and we understand that this waterfall is really not so big. Now we have already quite nice draft, and we start to add more water. Now it's maybe the most interesting part of how to draw water, And the trick is to go really slowly, kind of less is more. Let's create the reflections. Just make sure that it reminds the shape of this plant. And now magically water looks like water when we add the reflections. And feel free to actually pause at any point, and you can check the reference, and you can even just draw it by yourself and check out just some tricky places, something that maybe is challenging for you. Now let's add some splashes. I just place some little dots or some tiny little bubble, and I like to put them also around the rocks. Some more reflection to the stone. And as you go, you can also correct a little bit, maybe the shape of the rock, or add some more line weight, darken something. Here I think can be a reflection of this big stone, so I'll make it a little bit darker. And some more lines, kind of just add them gradually. Really take your time with water, how to fill it, and preferably add less light and contrast than more. Sometimes all you need is just a couple of lines. But the good part also is to be brave and really try different things, so you can see also what works, what doesn't, through your experiments. Now I can darken the area around the rocks. And I will try to leave more highlights at the center. also darken this area. And actually maybe I go through all the water. And I leave some spots like wider, highlight them, and then some I'll darken. And you can use a bit more pressure on your pen to get darker lines. I create really very small adjustments, but I think it matters. Then we make the transition a bit smoother. So you can draw a bit more lines. Some accent here and some few small texture lines on the rocks, kind of like little scratches. So you can put some small dots, small strokes. And see how I add extra line weight to the big rock because it's the closest to the viewer, closest in the background. Some more lines. And we do the same with this big rock. And some more details on it. Now we enhance the look of the rocks, of the smaller rocks, and you can make some of the edges a bit darker and some of them left highlighted. Maybe a little bit correction here. And maybe a few more water lines in the foreground. Just to make the shape a bit more interesting and organic and balanced also. So that the foreground and their background kind of the same size. So here, as you see, we have these principles of design that We have black and white contrast. We have repetition of the rocks and water lines. And then we have two plants on both sides for balance. Well, actually, we have the center. It's kind of almost symmetrical, but slightly asymmetrical for natural look. And that's it.